because with nanotechnology and your particle beam technology that's being developed for psychological taking over a planet, we already see that happening with that in the military, black budgets and things like that you don't have to fire a shot. You can run people crazy just by spraying them with beam theory, particle beam theory.
And especially with so many people now being exposed to all these psychotropic drugs and being diagnosed bipolar or whatever.
You're opening the brain up. The more that you use the serotonins and things like that, where you expand this consciousness that's here, and you know that all your Eastern New Age things are trying to teach people to sit in the lotus. Think about what you're doing. You're sitting in a snake position. Okay, you're sitting in a snake position. You're going, oh, and this thing is flickering in your head. It's actually a transmitter. It's got a cord. It's like quartz, and it will pick up. So I do believe that you're opening your mind to Satan, of course, like the Bible tells us. Satan comes as a angel of light. And most of the people, when they say, oh, they've had this wonderful experience, they've seen this angel of light. But the problem is, most of the time, they are told things that are theosophy, which is nature worship. Satan does not want us to destroy our planet. You know, even the alien abduction theories that are going on right now, it's like, take care of your planet, don't destroy your planet. What these people don't understand, they'll say, well, I think those are good angels. And I'm like, absolutely not. Don't you understand that the moment that the world will be destroyed either by us or by Jesus, their gig is up. So they want it to continue and for us to have this because it allows them to continue. Once Christ comes back and stops it all, their future is eternal hell.
And that's it.
And as long as we're here and they can keep kind of doing their things, they're, you know, they're going to keep telling us, you know, let's be green, let's do this, let's do that. And unfortunately, we see on the news media today where everything's going green. Well, all of a sudden, why are we concerned about the weather? We haven't been before. The reason is because they don't want to say what the Bible has told you all the time is going to come to pass. We know from the Mayan calendar, if you study the Mayans, it specifically says that we're coming into this time that we're in a certain point in the universe where we've never been, and that there's going to be great climatic things occur. And I do think that they're deceptively getting us ready for something to happen by not telling us the truth about what's happening.
And that's the way they've always been.
And it's going to get, it's actually going to get worse. And I think that's when you're going to see the 10 nations and all this come together, because you've already had the G8 summits. And these they're already working because they know that there's going to be major catastrophes. If we continue to keep having the drought, let's say in Georgia, that we're suffering, where I am even at, we had fires we couldn't put out. We've had hurricanes destroy. How much can our government continue to dish out money, especially if we're owned by the British?
Yeah, we're already bankrupt as a nation.
That's right.
Already bankrupt as a nation.
That's right. And then if all our products are not being sold, and they're going out of state, I mean out of the country to buy and do whatever, then our economy keeps dropping. Like you say, the Amero
is already in the bank.
It's ready. It's waiting. It's waiting.
Do you feel like the Mystery Babylon, do you think that that is America, and what we see in Revelation 18 is an unfoldment of the destruction of America in a single hour, in a single day?
Mystery Babylon is something that I have often felt different about as I have done my research. But the way that I feel truly now is that Mystery Babylon is actually, it says, was the place where Jesus was crucified. So, and it says Sodom and Egypt, I think is in that same scripture. But I mention that in my book because I now believe that that is Israel.
Jerusalem.
That it is in Jerusalem. That is Mystery Babylon. But for many, many years in doing my research, I had often wondered, because the United States is really not mentioned, if that could have been us. But I don't think so. I think it worries me more now that we're not mentioned, and there may be a reason why we're not mentioned.
What about in Jeremiah 50 and 51, where it talks about the hammer of all nations? Because America is that hammer of the world. It has the armies, the empire that is pretty much just manipulating and controlling everything and expanding empire into the entire world. And it also says in Jeremiah 50 and 51 that we be a nation of many waters, and America has so many rivers, and it also talks about that a nation of unwalled villages will be. And you know, like in Jerusalem and in Europe, a lot of the villages, when they were established, they were walled villages.
Yes.
But here in America, we're
not walled around.
Yeah, we're not walled around.
There's a possibility that could very well be talking about America, but I guess my concept now of you know, Mystery Babylon has to go back to it saying that that's where Jesus was crucified, and we know that's the only place he was crucified. So, if America is what you're talking about in Jeremiah, that is a possibility that it's there. The thing that concerns me most is still that our connection to Israel is much deeper than what most people think.
Right.
And I try to explain the difference between what is a Khazar Jew and what is just a Hebraic lineage. Many people have often thought that the Jew, when you say Jews, that it was a certain only bloodline. But the term Jew did not come about until there was a mixing of the Hebraic lineages with the pagans of Babylon. And when they returned from Babylon captivity, they became known as Jews. As long as the mother was a Jew, then the person was a Jew. It was not as it had been, as Christ had, or as Jehovah had asked Moses that they stay a true tribe and not intermingle with these other tribes. He wanted those Hebraic tribes to stay pure and not mingle with those pagan tribes like that. But the majority of people that run the media, the news, the film industry, the publishing industry, are all what I call the Jewish groups that are not what I would say that Jesus was talking about in being true Hebraic Jews. And I think that when he stood in the temple to the Pharisees and Sadducees and Essenes of his day, that he, and scribes, he said, you know, you are serpents.
Right. You are of your father, the devil.
Yes.
Right.
So we have to look at, we got to separate that out. And I grew up not understanding that. So when I realized that there were actually different lineages and how that all panned out, then it made sense to me why Jesus said what he did.
Right.
Because many people were like, his own race killed him.
Right.
Well, you've got to understand what faction
Right.
was involved in that, and what faction actually became Christians.
Right. Because it says Revelation 2:9 and 3:9, those that are the fake Jews but are the synagogue of Satan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who call yourself whatever and they're really not.
Right.
So that connection of America to that, through the secret societies and all that, there's a major connection there that goes much deeper than the average person has any idea about.
Right. Yeah. Most people.
And when you do the research, you're like, I mean, I have sat at night at 3 o'clock in the morning and go, I never knew this.
Right.
You know, and you just but then then you put the pieces together.
Right.
And you can just see how it's like, oh wow, this happened.
Picture. Exactly.